Hello and welcome to Beeview Revisited. My name is George Boarding and I am a graduate of the University of East Anglia in film and TV production. Together with Professor Duncan Bell, we've launched this channel to explore the incredible possibilities of micro-CT scanning. We'll be showing you how this technology allows us to view insects in extraordinary detail, being able to create highly accurate 3D models, not just of the insects, but how the technology can be used to create other objects, such as chess pieces, and investigate the real-world impacts of things like 5G can have on an insect's life. We'll also dive into the benefits of working with both stained and unstained samples, and we've got a mystery that we would like the audience to help us out with. But that's enough from me. Let's hear from the man himself.
Hello, my name's Duncan Bell. I'm a retired NHS consultant physician. I've always, throughout my career, had links to universities or research institutes. And I'm delighted, George, that you're here to interview me about why I should be remotely interested in A, insects, and B, micro-CT, when I am neither a radiologist or an entomologist, and it's a profound cheek that I'm here at all, and I suspect you're going to ask me how I got into it.
That is exactly my next question. So, micro-CT scanning of insects.
Yeah.
How and, I think more importantly, why?
How and why, yes, okay. In the 1990s, I did a lot of work with British Telecom. I was working at the Ipswich Hospital at the time, and had very close research links with Dr. David Heatley and Professor Peter Cochrane, and we did a lot of work on trying to produce what we called teleendoscopy, to link using an ISDN line the image that one got down a colonoscope with a system that we'd invented which didn't involve x-rays, a magnetic imaging system, so we could see the configuration of the endoscope. From that, I was very lucky to work with a very talented software engineer, computer buff, called Dr. Roger Rowland, and he came up with a system which we'll be looking at a bit later on, a very nice system for reading x-rays. The standard method that's used in the NHS, or really all over the world now, is a thing called a DICOM format, and Roger came up with a DICOM reader, which we'll be looking at in a moment. And then we also, because of our links with British Telecom, we decided we would use the same trick that we'd use with teleendoscopy and apply it to Roger's system. So that meant that we could not only share images at different working sites, but we could look at how to control the thing. We developed it specifically for MDTs, multiple disciplinary team meetings for cancer. So for instance, Ipswich might be sharing images and expertise with Colchester or the James Paget or Norfolk and Norwich. Anyway, we developed the system, which we'll be looking at as we go through. We got quite a lot of national interest, including getting Sir Michael Richards, the then cancer czar, to come along and see us, but like most of the things I do, I'm no businessman, and I'm afraid they didn't go with our system.
I'll quickly pause the video here just to tell you that Sir Mike Richards has recently been in the news, and I'll put a link to the article.
In the end, and we were rather looking around. We had a very good system for looking at x-rays, but no buyers. So we tried selling it to medical schools for teaching and veterinary schools and got nowhere. And then completely out of the blue, we got a message from an Australian called Mark Greco, who we thought must be mad, because he was x-raying whole beehives in the winter to see the distribution of them, and was also looking at individual insects using micro CT. Now, we'd never used micro CT. Our setup was purely for NHS DICOM files, and we had to very rapidly try to modify our system to read the sort of x-ray files that were coming our way. I contacted a person we'll be talking about quite a lot in a moment, Nick Core, who worked for one of the companies that do micro CT, and through his contacts we managed to get a beetle from Aberdeen scan, one beetle. So having got this scan, we looked at it and I was totally hooked. So my relations with both Nick Core and the Australian Mark Greco started from there. Mark came over and worked in Bern in Switzerland, and then did a PhD at Bath, so I got to know him very well. We initially worked on locusts because my younger sister had done her PhD at Durham, and so we worked on locusts, we worked on ladybirds, we worked on bees, we worked on wasps, we worked on blowflies, and so on in the course of these series of talks you and I are doing, George.
Yeah. So a completely happy accident then?
A completely happy accident. We were desperate. The company went bust soon after, and I'm afraid Beeview wasn't, as you would imagine, a great money spinner, but it caught my interest, and it's kept me out of mischief for a number of years.
Can you just talk about what the audience expect to see in these videos? What are we sort of trying to aim with these videos?
Yes, well, in no particular order, George, and you can swap these around, but as I think of it, the one at which I'm interested in using insects as a source of calories, particularly protein and fat and carbohydrate, to look at the way we quantitate the fat or protein, because as we'll be saying, they have different X-ray attenuations, and so it isn't just a question of looking at pretty pictures. One can actually do some analysis. So one of them will be looking at particularly fat in terms of its different attenuation. I'm going to say a little bit about how you can use either an ordinary CT or a micro CT to produce so-called STL, stereolithographic files, which you can do either 3D printing from or make various other models. And then, as I say, I'm particularly proud of what we've been doing with the tracheal system, because I think we've come up with one or two quite exciting things there. So I think those are the three main things, George, that we'll go for. If we get a bit of interest, I've got one or two scans of insects that I don't know the answers on. I'm curious to know, and I really want to put it out to people to come in with what they think is the best way to interpret these X-rays. And
We're looking for the audience's help, possibly.
oh, I hope so. Yes, a bit of that. I do think that there's a genuine problem with insects and insect numbers, and I'm well aware that there are many other factors such as the use of insecticides and more intensive farming, global warming, etc., in the worrying reduction of insects and pollinators. In one of the videos in this series, we'll look at how we've been using micro CT to make models to predict some of the possible adverse effects of 5G radio waves on insects.